It would require an extensive analysis of the current infrastructure, a financial feasibility analysis, rate structuring analyses, rate structuring plan, negotiating with PG&E to acquire their facilities. They don't have to just give up those facilities, and they own it. So to acquire their lines, etc. Considerations for PG&E employees that probably live here in our community, maybe our neighbors now. You know, we're not trying to put people out of jobs, but looking at the greater good of the overall change if that were to happen. Considerations for additional businesses and jobs that may benefit from this, if this is going to be better rate structuring or not. It may or may not be. That's not the main focus at this time for the CSD, because if you're going to acquire a bunch of facilities, infrastructure, like the PG&E lines that are out there, you're talking about buying something, so that has to be purchased. There's financing going behind that, so that's something that typically gets built into a new rate structure. So out the gate, there may be no savings on it, but it may be a longer term fix for reliable energy from a responsible provider. There's also various votes that would have to take place. There are particulars that surround the LAFCO process and district boundaries and service changes. So you're currently in the Dorado Hills CSD. Community Service District law does permit many, over 30 different powers. CSD does parks and recreation, voice calling, some aspects of telecommunications, CC&Rs. There's also the element of energy provision in Community Service District law. However, we don't really have staff that know a whole lot about providing energy at this time. That's why we're exploring the matter now. We do those other things well. I think that's why we've all looked to our neighbor, SMUD. They've got a pretty good operation going on. People seem to like their rate structuring. Not an expert on all the details of their rate structuring. And they're right here, next to us in Folsom. So you're looking over the fence saying the grass is greener over there. So it seems like a natural we reach out to them. They are a utility district. They have authority to provide, procure and provide energy. So we would look to them to possibly annex, but that's not the only thing we would be looking into. We're really just putting the pieces together as to what steps would need to be taken and what those costs for consultants and staff time would be right now. That's the point we're at right now today. There could be opportunities to work with legislators to make any of a number of the processes that we mentioned, those analyses, annexation, de-annexation if that's needed, the votes that go into that. Maybe there's a legislative fix there. And I think there are several, if not many, legislators out there that I think could be compelled or just outright interested to get involved in that kind of legislative fix, hopefully this next session, given current status of the PSPS events and everything else that's going on with our current energy provider. So this route, the legislative one, may be one that bears the best fruit for us in the most immediate term, because as you heard me talk about in the beginning, a multi-year project that could be 3 to 5 years when I say multi-year, don't mean just 2. Maybe we can trim that up with a legislative fix, make this annexation process something more streamlined. So we're hopeful that that could be something very meaningful, and we do have some legislators and our advocacy groups on our list to be reaching out to over the next couple of weeks to see, is this something you can get behind, and is this something that we can help out with? So CSDA is the parent organization for special districts, and California Special District Association. They have a legislative advocacy team that's pretty darn good, and we work with them. I work with them often. So we're going to be reaching out to them as well to see if we can flex that muscle or help us flex that muscle and get something done on the legislative route. Some of the challenges in front of us right now. SMUD agency. It has to be receptive to any sort of annexation. So they have a board. They have 7 board members now. Put yourself in their shoes for just a moment. It has to be scary for them to want to go after any other annexation. If you know some of their history, which, as I mentioned, Mr. Jeff Smith's a great historian on this. Back in, 2006? The YOLO annexation didn't go over so well. It was fought by PG&E, and SMUD being a public entity, when they have to go to their members, their ratepayers, or constituents for a vote, it's not, once you initiate that vote proceeding, the agency can't go out and campaign for a yes or a no. It's left into your hands. They can do education, but it's an odd dance. It's not a biblical dance. So in that case, they lost probably a ton of money during that. And I'm sure it's scary for them to go out for any annexation. And then put yourself in their shoes another time. Why should they and why would they want to annex El Dorado Hills? What did they gain? What did they lose? So that's been one part of our conversations with them. Not to get excited over having a conversation with SMUD, but a 2x2. 2x2 is 2 board members and 2 of their board members. So 2 of the CSD board members and myself, 2 of their board members and legal counsel met just this week to discuss this matter. Some of those particulars, won't dive into all the details of it, but I'm talking about some of those challenges right now that were presented to us during that meeting. So that receptiveness of the agency, of the board itself. Not just the board, we have a whole staff team, a big staff in SMUD that experienced that back in '06, and I'm sure they haven't forgotten it. So SMUD ratepayers, they have to agree to an annexation. You're talking about a mega vote. I'm not sure how many people are in ratepayers that vote in SMUD, but in meeting with their board directors this week, I think they each said that they have several 100,000 residents they serve. That may not be the units or the hookups, it may just be total count of population they serve. So when I multiply that by 7, I'm saying, well, you have, gosh, 1 million people you're serving in SMUD. I don't know the exact number myself, but why in the world would they want and desire to annex El Dorado Hills? So those are some big challenges, and to go out to a vote is costly. But if something does change, maybe those ratepayers in that SMUD district realize that we are part of and connected to that greater community. We're right on the fringe here, Folsom, where SMUD stops. Yeah, if you know people out there that could help in leveraging the hearts and minds of them, great. That would be fantastic. But we see that as a Herculean challenge. That's where we start to go back to that legislative fix, possibly. Maybe there's something there that can help us out. So the costs, that's a challenge too. The cost for a full feasibility and financial analysis, looking at that infrastructure, costing everything out, just that right there, we don't know exactly what that cost is. We're going to find out what those costs are for that analysis, those analyses. And then PG&E opposition. I'd like to say that maybe they're at a state right now where they can't flex that muscle as hard as they did back in '06. I think it maybe not look so great for them. However, losing in a surface area is losing part of their business. I mean, who wouldn't fight to keep their own business? I don't know. I can't speak for them, but we see that as a clear and present challenge for this endeavor. So some of our big takeaways at this time, and again, this is just an update. We are still endeavoring upon this to find out if there is a good fix for El Dorado Hills. Some of the takeaways we do need to explore more so that we can put together a real course of action here. Do we keep moving on in that area pursuing SMUD? Or, as I didn't really talk about today, do we look at a CCA fix, a community choice aggregation fix? Now, as I understand it, and this may not be 100% accurate, if we did a CCA and we're just basically renting power in the lines from PG&E, they would still be turning power off and on. It's on their line. So unless there's some way around that. Now, we're going to explore that there, but that's our understanding right now. And if we're trying to work on reliable energy, responsible provider, that's first and second and foremost. I'm not sure that the CCA is the right fix for us. And if the CSD is going to activate that aspect of its provision of services, you're talking about bringing on an expertise and workforce that we currently don't have right now. So again, that's another challenge. We do need to engage those interested legislators and interested communities around us. We've been hearing that there's a number of communities out there in California and otherwise that would like to make changes such as this. So sometimes pulling together makes sense. Sometimes pulling together can make it a little more chaotic. So we want to be deliberate in those steps if we're going to go down that route. Let's see here. And again, just back on the formal analysis cost, that's kind of a big one for us. We're anticipating that could be easily north of 100,000 just for an analysis. And we'll find out if we're going to do that in time. It's going to take us a little more time to dive into this. We really appreciate the community working group, Jeff, Wayne, and I know that they've done a huge lift in getting out to the community and updating us with folks like in the business community and otherwise. I don't know that I'll have a ton of answers for you here today. This was meant to be an update, but I can try to field anything that you might have. Or if you have comments on it. Yeah, suggestions. We're open on this here. We're here, you're here.
So, are there any questions?
All right. This district, but we don't want to forget about our neighboring communities where it might make sense beyond our boundaries too. So when it gets to the point, if it gets to the point that the county or someone else needs to be involved or take the lead role, we'll know our place on that too.
Yeah, isn't Rockland that's also exploring this?
I think
City of Rockland.
Yeah, there's probably a number of, there's a ton.
Special district. Putting together a special district.
To do energy provision. Yeah, you can do that. It can be done. Now for here, I mean, maybe there is another, special district can be formed. A utility district could be formed here as well too, as separate than any of the districts you have now. That's a possibility, but that's not something that we're exploring right now. Not that piece. It's just, propping up a new and different special district. Any other?
I would say that when SMUD was formed, they started the process at Sacramento, Wednesday, in 1923. And it wasn't until after World War II, 46, that SMUD actually was officially the utility. The war got in the way, there was a little bit of depression. But at the same time, PG&E fought that as well back then. And it was contentious, and I know in yellow it was contentious that PG&E was able to go out and campaign and, persuade. But as Kevin said, once you have it for the voters, as an agency, you can't campaign all day.
And it's not a new topic. I have some files in office. We've done an archival search here with the CSD because at different times, CSD has been involved in several initiatives now. I have some files from 83 and 86 when they were pursuing something with SMUD back then. And looking into generating its own energy with wind turbines in the Altamont Pass. So different times. So we're doing a lot of research and trying to get out there and put it all together.
I want to monopolize it. The question I say, I know that CDAC has talked about a CCNA, the Detroit Secretary, and the benefit there is primarily cost to ratepayers. And it is still over PG&E's equipment, their transmission networks. So, but in terms of, we look at planning, in terms of a lower cost or a lower rate, that's advantageous for the business part, because right now they're disadvantaged. Whereas, the power costs here are significantly higher, and a mile down the road, they are not. And so, this is all R&D right now, but I'm sure the city falls rather flexible when they want something, so they can accommodate and they have a lower cost power.
So I mentioned, I guess I was dancing around it, being a little vague and talking about our neighboring communities.
Yeah.
I was speaking about the business park because it's actually an island of the CSD.
It's unique to itself.
But you can't not think of that.
Yes.
And there's another initiative going on, or at least an exploration, the CSD. There's an ad hoc to explore the city at the top. Because again, as community and resident groups come to us with reasonable requests, the board, staff, take the time to research that. So if there was an actuality of the city that comes forward, the business park may be a part of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's some issues with the fire district boundaries, because when they were created, they didn't have similar boundaries. They had to be different enough to not be essentially the same boundaries and the same agency. But yeah, the city could then with another thing would take a day or two.
Maybe in another month we'll have some updates on what we're doing there.
So if there aren't any other questions, thank you for being here tonight and providing the information. I know that a lot of people have been asking me, I know what I read the paper, so.
That's the latest and greatest.
So-
I have a question, yeah.
Oh, there's more.
Well, not really a question. I just wanted to mention that, the Folsom annexation in 1980 was a success in less than a year. And we have a gentleman who's on that campaign in Folsom in 1980, part of our resident group right now. So hopefully, and like someone said from Blue Shield, we should focus on that, the success of that, and see what they did and get that through.
Right, and hopefully it will come off as too skeptical or pessimistic. If we can, and maybe there was a more willing SMUD as an agency back then, and if we can get that to happen, maybe get them interested in this area, I think that's going to change the tides tremendously. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.